So it was a brilliant day for SAA today in the second unofficial test day two. And it's something that we can really be proud about and happy about as the bowlers start to find their momentum into the match and into and finding the swing of things. You want them to get as much momentum as many good performances as possible throughout this particular series so that they can be as best prepared for the future as possible and for that tour that is coming up against New Zealand. So on today's show, we are going to be talking about the South Africa A Tour, and we're going to be talking about day two of the second unofficial test. What happened, who did what, and what is the current positioning of the match. But before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos, and as well, subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. We are working currently on the latest issue. So download link is in the description as well as on the screen right now. And you guys can get every single issue, every back issue 100% free. So go ahead and get your copy right away. I think these SAA matches are something that we can all get insight from and all learn from, because we will see, particularly when there isn't commentary, we get an opportunity to be able to learn from watching the game, the comment section, seeing what we see out there in the middle, how the pitch behaves, how our players adapt to certain match situations, etc., etc. These are all things that I know that we must be aware of. These are things that we must also take note of. Try to learn as much as possible from each other, and that's why we've built this platform so that we can discuss things in depth and we can learn stuff from each other. I don't specifically know everything. I'm sure you guys don't know everything. So together we can do this. Together we can teach each other a lot about the game and continuously become closer to that fanatics tag as we want to be. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this one with you guys. Let's get it. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host Khalid Moeddin, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South Africa versus the West Indies. South Africa A, of course, versus the West Indies A. Day two of the second test in East London. So, what took place? What happened? Where are we sitting currently in the match? That's what we're going to be discussing on today's show. I've been enjoying this match and seeing certain players play under certain difficulties and under certain pressures. There is a lot of pressure on the players, a lot more than a normal is SAA tour, sorry, because all of us are actually invested in this, watching this, and very carefully trying to see what's taking place in this match. And I've seen that the live views on the particular stream has been quite good. So to give a quick summary of what's happened in the match so far, we know West Indies won the toss and elected to bowl. I think the major reason for that decision was the overhead conditions. I think that played a massive part on day one with West Indies picking to bowl first and trying to obviously get swing out of the wicket. And we know that got 298 South Africa all out. But the first day was 266 for 5, I think, or 6, I think it was. And then we continued the day today. And it was Rwanda Swat and Mkhlali Mapungwana that were at the crease. Now, Mkhlali lost his wicket pretty early on. He was bowled by Joseph. But Rwanda Swat continued to do quite well. But once again, another player never got the chance to convert. 42 of 75 balls, and before he was dismissed by Jordan. And then we had a couple of runs put together by Dane Piet, Tsepo Moreke, and Dane Patterson. Not many though, as South Africa were bowled out for 298. With the West Indies, I went into bat and they got off to a brilliant start. Actually, they were hun- they were 102, I think it was for two. Let me just double check that. 102 for 2 years, and then all of a sudden, the introduction of Dane Pitt changed the game completely. Um, and after 102 for two, we started taking wickets. 3 wickets from Dane Pitt in the middle order, Tsepo Moreki getting Mackenzie early on, Dane Patterson getting the main guy that got 62, McCaskey for 62. But it was mainly Dane Pitt. He got dismissed Hodge, Imlak, the Silver. Then Moreki got Sinclair and Mansingh. Then Pitt got his fifer by getting Jordan and Joseph. From 102 for 2, they were quickly 122 for 7. It was a fantastic middle order bowling display by the spinner and Tsepo Moreki. The two of them together completely dismantled the West Indies. Um, Dane Pitt ended only bowled 12.2 overs for his 5 for 28. Tsepo Moreki bowled 15 overs and took 3 for 66. He was a bit expensive today, but they completely dismantled the West Indian bowlers, batters. Sorry, it was a complete masterclass from Dane Pitt, and it's really good to see how he got the ball turning. But because the West Indies got to the 150 mark, they needed to be bowled out for 149 for South Africa to enforce the follow on. But they managed to get 154 and they were bowled out. So South Africa obviously had a massive lead heading into this particular match. Um, they had a 149 rand lead for their second innings. So the platform was set. I was hoping that South Africa could take out the West Indies early and quickly, so that, and then I was hoping for our batters to come out and play a more attacking brand, more natural brand, and their natural games, and really get their juices flowing and try to attack and put the pressure on the West Indies and take the lead into a massive one very quickly. Because I think that with 2 more days left, day 3 and day 4, South Africa can really pile the pressure on, put a hell of a lot of runs on the board, and then try to take them out with the ball and give themselves enough time to actually take them out with the ball as well. But I was hoping that we were going to see a more natural game plan with regards to the bat. Neil Brandt, unfortunately, lost his wicket again for 4 early on. Took 19 balls for his 4 and then lost his wicket to Sinclair. But Tony de and Reinhard van Tonda have gotten stuck in. I mean, Tony de already has faced 92 balls, 34 runs. There were quite a few close calls with the where the ball missed the edge and etc. And he missed the ball and it missed the stumps gradually. There was quite a few close calls, but he fought it out and he stuck there in the middle. Reinhard van Tonda is looking good again. So we're hoping these two batters can now go on to make a massive score. They need to go get as many runs as possible and try to pile the pressure on the West Indies as best as possible. And not only pile on the pressure, I think for themselves, they need a good score. A score that's going to get them into a decent, get them confidence going and make them feel like everything that all the hard work that they put in has been worth it. So Reinhard van Tonda must try to better his 50 that he got. And I think try and get that 100. Tony de too. It would be nice if both of them can get hundreds in this particular match and really take the South Africa's team tally and of milestones and hundreds up to three, because currently we only have 100 and a couple of 50s. So we need our batters to get a little bit more form in under the belt and really show that they can be devastating uh, um, to the opposition. The pitch is getting a little bit more roughed up, and we can see that the spinners are coming into play nicely. And this could play into South Africa's hands with Neil Brandt and Dane Pitt in the side once the West Indies start their second innings. But first and foremost, South Africa just have to pile the runs on as best as possible. They're currently on 65 for 1 in the second innings, and they lead now by 209. So, in my opinion, I think that these batters can really have a go. You know, just go out there, play with freedom, play with an attacking mindset, and really go for it. Because there is an opportunity for that right now for them to really um, put on runs and play a natural game that they normally are used to, that they normally used to playing. Now, Tony, generally speaking, even domestically, he does take his time at first and then eases his way into the match and then goes on a batting spree of and a run scoring spree. Whereas Reiner van Tondo also plays quite a measured game generally. He played a little quicker in his first innings of this match, but I think in this particular on this particular pitch, it is looking like you need some time to get your eye in. But I want those balls that they face to mean something in the end. You know, I don't want them to face a whole lot of balls and then lose their wicket without converting at half centuries or 40s, etc. You want them to actually convert them into milestones. So big hundreds tomorrow would be great. One from both Tony and both um, Reinhard van Tonda. I think that would be brilliant from my side if we can see that as a fan base, because um, confidence is everything with this batting unit. I think if they can get some a good confidence under their belt going into the last match, they will play with a lot more ease and freedom in the final match to try and solidify the victory. So those are the things that I'd like to see from a South African point of view tomorrow. The pitch, like I said, is turning a bit and it is roughing up a bit. It's making it a lot more difficult for the players to get their eye in and have a go. So it's going to be a very interesting day three. And I actually can't wait to see what happens with regards to that. We've got Matt saying in the comment section, I hope the Zozi and Reinhardt can go on to get 100. Yeah, that's exactly what I agree with you 100%. Um, Matt 92 says Alga, the Zozi, Van Tonda, Peterson, Bedingham second to keep wicket should be the top six for the New Zealand series. Alga, the Zozi, Van Tonda, Peterson, Bedingham. That's a very good lineup. Um, Gonna have to wait and see what happens with Neil Brandt as well if they throw him in the mix as well. Um, but that is a very good top six. Tushar says, discover your channel today. It's fantastic job you're doing covering CSA domestic as well. Thanks a lot, Tushar. I'm trying my best to do that. I've dedicated my life to cover cricket in South Africa specifically. I'll branch maybe out to other things later on, but to other countries, etc. later on. But I want to give South African cricket a proper go and covering, because I think there's a lack of that, of maintaining people's belief and hunger in the game in South Africa, because South Africa is a rich country has a rich country in history of cricketers and cricket in this country. So we're going to try and do that as best as possible. Please, can you discuss the SA squad against India? We haven't had that announcement yet, as far as I know, unless I missed it. Um, I don't think we've had that announcement yet. We're still waiting for that announcement to happen. Um, accreditation has been processed and is approved by the tournament authority. What accreditation is this? I've already got my accreditation. I don't know why I'm getting another approval of accreditation when I've already got my accreditation approved. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm reading emails. I just wanted to check my emails to see if it was announced yet, and it hasn't been. We're still waiting for that announcement. As soon as we do get that announcement, we obviously will do a show the evening to discuss it. I'll bring the squads up on the screen, the squad on the screen, and we'll dissect it. We'll talk about the snubs. We'll talk about the omissions that we maybe feel were unfair. We'll talk about who we would have liked to see in the team. We'll talk about as well who we're happy to see in the team and all of those type of things. So as soon as we get that information, we will share it with you. We are pretty accurate and on time with those type of things normally. So we normally do a show. And if you follow us on cricketfanaticsmag.com as well, you will get the update as soon as the squad is released to us. It will go live on there, and you guys will have complete access to see who's in the team as well. The evening we'll discuss it a little bit more in depth, go into the details, talk about the snubs, talk about the people that have been omitted from the side, etc. Like I just repeated myself, I don't know why, but yeah, that's something that we will discuss as soon as we get the information. There hasn't been any. I haven't really got any behind the scenes news yet on the squad at all. It's been quite quiet around the squad announcement, so we waiting to see when that will be, and then as soon as we get that information, we will share it with you guys. So I just want to highlight something over here that I think is a major positive for South Africa. It's the all rounders coming through. Rwanda Swat, Mihlali Mapungwana. I think the two of them are players that we've desperately needed to get opportunities. I want to see these guys play the regular domestic cricket and perform regularly at domestic cricket because we are in desperate need of more all rounders to pick from. Rwanda Swat is an extremely talented player that I think has just been unlucky at the various franchises he's moved around to. Um, Whenever he does go, there's either an abundance of all rounders in the side, or there's Proteas players in the side that keep him out, or there's quota regulations that keep him out. So there's a lot of things that, or now with regards to the Dolphins, the spinning aspect is always going to play its role, and you're going to want to play three spinners in majority of games. So I think he's been a little bit unlucky, but I'm so happy that he's been identified by Coach Shukri and brought it in and given an opportunity. You can see what he's doing now with the bat. We need more we need more all rounders that can bat well, and I think both Mihlali and Rwanda Swat, although Mihlali hasn't necessarily shown it completely in the series yet, I'm sure he will come good and show us something and show us what we've seen for the Western Province team so many times. He hit I mean, recently, Mukhlali hit 100 for Western Province um, in the final of the list day competition, the 1 day cup. He missed the 4 day competition because of injury, and then he got injured in that game. I think it was. I'm not 100% wait. He got injured in some game. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been just in that final he got injured, and then I think he missed one of the 4 day competitions. So he is coming off a recent injury, and I think that might be an issue with regards to this. He is fit. Obviously, that's why they're picking him. But I'm hoping that we will see the best of him in the matches to come. He hasn't necessarily shown it so far. He showed it with the ball, but I am a big fan of his batting. So I'm hoping that his batting comes good. Matt says the players who didn't feature against West Indies in the second game, will they be available for tomorrow's domestic games? I don't think so. Um, I don't think that there will be. At what position Markram should bat? According to me, he should bat at two down so that his stroking ability will be more useful there. Are we talking about in T20 cricket now? Just want to clarify that because I think that currently is he's a number 4 for South Africa in ODI cricket, and I think that's a nice position for him in T20 cricket. I think in Test cricket, I think he's an opener. For me personally, the guy is an opener, and I wouldn't want to take Temba out of the Test side, especially when he's been batting. He's been batting really well in Test cricket at the moment. I mean, the last Test that we played, he scored 180 to win us the match. So um, Temba at 4 has been really good. Um, I mean, it is a Aiden Markram for me has been very good as an opener for South Africa in Test cricket. He hasn't always managed to convert when he is in the flow of things, but I think we're going to see a lot more of him. I think that the ODI his ODI game is improving so much, as well as his T20 game, that I think it's also going to help him in his Test cricket game in his Test cricket in the way he will be able to develop it and play with more freedom. I think if he approaches Test cricket the way he has, he'll be fine. I mean, it's the one place that he can be patient. He doesn't have to rush things. So, and I think when he's in full control of his tempo and isn't forced to try and like accelerate the run rate, then Aiden is in his element, I feel, because he'll then naturally do so when his instincts tell him to, rather than being forced to do so according to situation. So I like him as a test opener. I wouldn't want to change him as a test opener. That's my personal opinion. Um, I don't want to break that opening partnership between him and Dean Alga at the moment. Don't like that domestic sides play so few first class games. I hope next season that changes. There is a discussion currently about that. There is a discussion amongst the DOC and I think the coaches on getting more first class games. At the moment, I feel that they play too little. I want to see the reason why I want to see more as well is so that youngsters get a bigger sample to ease their way into 4-day cricket, because at the moment it's almost like they blink and it's over. Um, they only get a couple of opportunities to really get themselves used to the format. But I'm so happy that the Colts have a 3-day competition, because at least now red ball cricket, there is an exposure to red ball cricket by the under 19, for the youngsters like the under 19s that are coming out of school. They've never played red ball cricket before, and now they get an opportunity to play Colts if they can't make it into a franchise team. So I think that is a brilliant thing that's happened, and it's a brilliant initiative by Enoch Nkwe to introduce Colts, bring the Colts system back, because they're going to be playing, um, because they are the SA20 and the CSA knockout competitions. T20 game is sorted. There's enough T20 cricket for South Africans to really showcase their talent. But I think that in red ball cricket, there isn't enough opportunities. Club cricket, there is no more 2-day cricket anymore, red ball cricket, so that's gone. So a youngster won't learn the patience of trying to bat for hours, stick it out, do a grinding job when it comes to trying to put runs on the board, etc. They've kind of had to adapt their games so quickly to try and be ready for T20 cricket so that they can get gigs. Um, but I think the Scults introduction of the Cults League at the moment is brilliant. I think now that we have a 3-day competition and a 50-over match, these players are playing the longer format at a young age and getting exposed to that. It might be a culture shock for them when they just move from school straight into it, because Kai Majolovic doesn't have time cricket anymore. That's where I saw a lot of the younger players like Reinhard van Tonder, Senetemba Klashile, Jason Niemand, um, and so many others, Joshua Richards. I saw all of these guys at a younger age playing time cricket, and that was my first exposure to these players and their abilities against the red ball. And at least when they got their opportunity, even Vian Mulder, and at least when they got their opportunities to step up into the 4-day arena, they weren't completely and they weren't completely out of their depth when they faced it. So it's very important that we prepare our players for red ball cricket as quickly as possible. There's going to be a lot more SAA tours as well and emerging tours. So at least we know that these players are going to be getting top level cricket to be able to improve their game with top level coaches so that they can have extra um, advice and help with the technique if there is any flaws in it. Matt 92 says first class cricket should be the priority, gives players a strong foundation, 100%. And there's so many players that speak about how the first class cricket, our first class cricket has helped the T20 game and their 50 over game. David Warner is famously known for saying that that Test cricket has helped his T20 game. So we can even, why also as well, as the game is getting changing and batters are getting more destructive in the power plays, etc. We've seen that on certain wickets, test lengths from the bowler's perspective is the best option. And more bowlers are using test lengths to get wickets and to try to put pressure on the opposition. Keeping the ball in a good length, aimed at the stumps, aimed at third stump, aimed at fourth stump, and trying to get the nick off, bowling consistently, and putting pressure on the batter to attack. Because we know that in Test cricket, when the bowlers put the ball in that certain areas, it's very hard to attack the ball. So it makes it a lot harder for the batter to get off strike. And if that's the case, in Test cricket, you can just leave it. But in T20 cricket, you can't. You run out of balls. So it's going to call it's a very smart tactic that bowling coaches have had, that they've implemented that into their system, into their team dynamics. Because now batters can't necessarily just come out and swing necessarily if you bowl those lanes consistently. So the only way you learn that and how to play that is by playing Test cricket. And David Warner's been one of the batters that has said, has expressed how Test cricket has really helped his game. Is Quinny available for T20I for SA? If yes, will SA pick him or move away from him completely? I think he's available and I think they will pick him. I don't see why they shouldn't pick him. He hasn't retired from T20 cricket. So he's still available for that. So I think we will see him in the side. And if he can take that form, oh my Lord, if he can take that World Cup form that he had in the ODIs into the T20 arena, that might be the first World Cup that South Africa ever win. Let's cross fingers. Brother, can you tell me your Insta account? Basically, I'm from India and supporting SA cricket from last 15 years. Found it very difficult to discuss protest cricket here, but we can discuss in Insta. It's not very difficult to discuss it over here. You can obviously you can ask me any questions in the live chat and I answer them live. I think it's a lot better than talking to us on Insta. Talking to me on Insta. Our Instagram account is in the live description, so just go ahead and check that out. All the links are in the description for you to click on. I think this is the best platform for us to talk about domestic cricket, because I can give you a direct answer to all your questions. Matt, good to see Namibia doing well. I hope we can help them out by giving them games in our domestic scene. They have a lot of potential to grow as a team. Very good, very true. How much do you, Marwan says, how much do you rate Nandre Burger? I rate Nandre Burger really highly, but there has been a lot of concerns over his injuries. And that's the reason I think he's been left out, that he hasn't been in teams. It's mainly got to do with the timing. Every season, I think for the last 3-4 seasons, Nandre has picked up a big injury that kept him out of games for a very long time, particularly 4-day cricket. So I think coaches are going to allow him to get through the motion and try to let him complete a full season of cricket so that they can see and monitor his fitness. Because last season he didn't play a full 4-day cricket season, so you can't really pick him on that. And I think a lot of the SAA guys that got picked for this tour, a lot of them were picked based on the previous seasons that they've had. So that has to be taken into consideration. And Nanda didn't have any cricket to pick from. This season he's done brilliantly and he stayed fit, but there's too little games, too few games for them to have picked him for this SAA side. So for the next SAA tour, perhaps we will see Nandeberger within the setup. But also, you have to remember the reason Nandeberger didn't would have not been picked in the side either is because he's contracted to the SA20, and none of the players that are contracted to SA20 were going to are allowed to be picked for the New Zealand tour. And Coach Shukri Condon made it very clear that this particular tour is the this particular squad is a squad that was picked with the with the New Zealand tour in mind. So all the players that are in this particular squad, they haven't been contracted to SA20. So that's the brilliant thing um, about knowing that, because then you'll know who's the next in nine guys that could have been picked, that weren't picked because of that. So this is by no means South Africa's second best team like you would think. I'm pretty sure if everybody from the SA20 was available, we would see a very different SAA team or SAA squad, to be honest. So we can't shy away from that. The fact that Dane Piet got recalled to play some cricket for South Africa out of nowhere, basically. Um, Dane Patterson getting another go. Um, Tsepo Moreki getting an opportunity. I think with all the guys fit and ready, we would have seen a Gerald Coetzee. Gerald Coetzee has already played Test cricket, sorry. But we would have probably seen an Andre Berger. We would have probably seen perhaps a Matthew Bretsky, Jordan Herman, Carl Verreynne, George Linde, perhaps. We would have probably seen some of those guys get opportunities to play in this SIA tour if they were available for the New Zealand tour. So that's the situation we're sitting with. That's my take on Andre Berger. I think he's brilliant. I think we need his skills in the team. Left arm swing. He's he's quick, consistent, um, and I'm a big fan of his. But we need some consistency from him on his part of playing. How many players from SA are playing in the T10? It's disappointing to release them during our season, bro. Um, I don't actually know this offhand, but I think the T10 is a bloody waste of time. And I don't know why our players are up. Or I actually do know why our players opt to play in that. Um, so this is a waste of time. This, but it's money for our players. So I guess that's the reason why um, they do it. But I can't tell you how many South Africans are in it. I didn't really take note, to be honest. Um, so if anybody else knows that figure, they can put it in the live chat. Any point on Tushar says any point on class and selection for test team, because we have seen the kind of impact he had put. Yeah, impact he put shown in the middle order, or he showed in the middle order. If Klassen come to play around 40 over with old ball, he will score very well. While he's been given opportunities to play test cricket against the West Indies, and he really didn't come off the way we thought and the way we hoped. You see, we need to see a little bit more of a brave Heinrich Klaassen in Test cricket. I think he needs to just play his natural game and not to overthink things. In the series against the West Indies, he really gave his wicket away too many times, trying to look for shots that weren't needed to be played. I think if he takes his time and he's a bit patient and waits for the right opportunity to strike, he can be destructive in Test cricket, like he is for the Titans in 4-day cricket. But I don't know what went on in his mind during the West Indies series. I think he was maybe trying too hard to attack the ball and to play aggressive, and it ended up not working in his favor. So maybe he needs to rethink that. It's it was at first very unfair to Calverine that he didn't make that side based on his ability or what he showed in Australia. I mean, against New Zealand. And I think that's something that we need to maybe consider again. Bringing Calvarena back as the keeper batter in the Test arena. I think he's been brilliant in four-day cricket over the last couple of years. Yet to really kick on this season in the in the 4-day series, really. But we will see. He normally does get an opportunity when he gets an opportunity to come in and save the day. He normally does. So let's hope and let's see what happens with Kyle. If if Kyle wasn't picked up in the SA20, there would be no doubt in my mind that he would be picked in this team, in this SA team. Do you think we should use the ODI format to nurture or introduce our young players to a high level of cricket? Um, no, I don't. I th- I think what we should do is balance certain identified youngsters. So if Coach Rob selects two or three, sees about three youngsters that he thinks are ready for the international stage within the next, say, 2 years or year or 2 years, select them, bring them into the squad, and allow them to learn from the other experienced players around them. That's what I think the approach should be when it comes to our ODI setup, because there's 4 years to prepare. The only thing that should be on South Africa's mind when it comes to ODI cricket is that World Cup. Forget about anything else. Um, and I know now with qualifiers, it makes it hard for you to um, completely throw yourself into that strategy. But I do think that we have a core group of experienced players now that have now a good World Cup, a decent World Cup under their belt that can really um, help the other youngsters to learn from. They have the Aiden Markram, Temba Bavuma, um, Heinrich Klaassen, David Miller, Rassie van der Dussen. We've got all of these guys now that can really give some insight to these youngsters about the pressures of a World Cup. So, and with the bowling side, even more so. The only person that doesn't really have experience, that is not experienced in World Cups, that with regards to ODI World Cups, that is a senior player in the side now is Andy Nokia, because in both occasions he was injured 2019 and now. So it's very unlucky for him. But I'm hoping that um, even now, the younger guys like Gerald Coetzee and Marco Jansen, having this World Cup under their belt in India, difficult conditions, that pressure, they can only grow and learn from that. I highly doubt that Marco Jansen will be as nervous in the next World Cup. I think that he's learned his lesson from this World Cup, and he would have learned a hell of a lot from being put under that pressure. So for me personally, um, I think they should identify two or three players, bring them into the side, and embed them amongst the other experienced players. And gradually, as the experienced players retire or move on, the next generation will be ready then. So I would rather prefer them to play and switch around and rotate now between youngsters and experience for the first year of preparation for the next World Cup. Then by the second year, these other players will get a little bit more opportunity to play more regularly, find their rhythm more regularly. And then year three, you really pick your best team and you play your best team right through until the World Cup. Um, Bar maybe few changes, you want to rest players here and there. But there shouldn't be a thought of, oh, um, this player, we've given him chance now for 3 years. Now we drop him. Now you bring a new player in. Now he has only a year to prepare for the World Cup. No, none of that. Um, by year three, or by the end of year two, I think the coach should know exactly who his 11 is and give them as much game time as possible to prepare and be ready for that World Cup. Vial says Rabada has completely underperformed in limited overs, especially in T20s. In Australia World Cup, he didn't do anything special. I think it's time we should try more black bowlers, Bartman, Moreki, and Budaza. I think KG still has it in him. Um, he wasn't the enforcer in the World Cup, but I think he bowled well in in the role that he was given. Matt, how has some of the pitches been so far this season, particularly Newlands and Centurion, as we playing Indian there? Newlands' pitches looked really good. It's looked quite balanced for bowlers and batters. I think if you're patient at Newlands, you get your eye in, you can score big. If you're consistent with the ball, put it in good areas consistently, and utilize the first sessions, then you will get your rewards. So I think Newlands is going to be a nice competitive pitch. Newlands' pitch is looking really decent. Centurion's pitch as well, but you know the Centurion wicket has always favored batters more. So against India, generally speaking, we have a good record against India at Centurion. So I'm not really worried about the games against India. Um, I'm just interested to see who they're going to select for that team. Lawrence says, I'm still playing KG over Bartman and Moreki and Budaza all day long. That's a golfing class. Let's not diss KG like that. The levels are crazy, exactly. Um, KG is ridiculously good. He still has it. He still does a job, even though he wasn't in his maybe in his full element. I think he showed it in in stages throughout the match. KG is still a very top player, and I agree with Lawrence there. Marwan says, I agree with Janssen learning a lot from this World Cup. However, still feel we need a genuine new bowler with good control and maybe even some swing. Ethan Bosch, perhaps. Ethan Bosch, I think a lot of people maybe are over, maybe over. I don't want to say overpraising because Ethan Bosch is a very talented player. But I think they're looking at his performances in T20 cricket and getting a little bit carried away with themselves. There are certain things that you need to know about Ethan Bosch. And first and foremost, he's not a quick bowler. He's not a 150, 140 bowler. Second of all, he does get swing, but nowhere near as much as swing as someone like a Bayer Swanepoel, who's also not a 140 bowler. So when you look at our bowling attack that we currently have, we have we have a very good bowling attack. And with regards to Ethan's batting, we're obviously going to have to see him more, like especially for Test cricket. But if you're talking about T20 cricket, I mean, in the list A competition, um, Ethan wasn't necessarily up there with regards to bat and ball, if I if I if I remember correctly. Um, Let me just check that for you, because I don't remember him really lighting up the One Day Cup. So for me personally, these players need to do really well in our domestic comps for them to get a chance to play for South Africa or play at SAA level, etc. Um, let's look at the batting stats. Did Ethan even play? I don't see his name on the list here at all. Did he even play? What's happened to that now? Let me just check that. It's it's very possible that they don't even play him in one day cricket. The Dolphins. Yeah, he played. He played one, two, three, four, 5 matches. Um, didn't bat against Poland. Got 2 against Northwest, 5 not out against the Lions, 19 against the Titans, and 19 not out, and then 4 against Western Province. Bowling figures: North for 13 against the Dolphins, 2 for 44 in Durban, 3 for 56 in Durban, and North for 66 in Durban. So he hasn't, like I said, lit up the list A competitions. For him to have gotten an opportunity to play in this format. I know he did really well in T20 cricket, but that's a different format. Normally, medium pacers, slower the bowlers do well. Tex says, Budazo KG, that's a joke. But what has KG done in the last two T20 World Cups? He gets smashed all around in this format. Yeah, in T20 cricket, he has had a difficult time. I don't know what's going on with him there, because normally in the IPL, he did really well. Berger can be a very good new bowler. Yes, he can be. Why am I hearing the Brewers opted out of the Abu Dhabi T10, or am I getting this completely wrong? Would love it to be true if I'm honest. I would love that to be true if I'm honest too. Um, if that's the case, then that's brilliant. Um, because I think he needs 4-day cricket more than anything else. The T10 is just a waste of bloody time. Let me just double check that quickly. Let me see what matches he's played. Okay, so he hasn't played anything in the T10. So we'll have to wait and see. I can let you guys know tomorrow because I'll be at Newlands. So I'll be able to see whether he's in the squad or not. I don't think we've gotten a release on the Titans squad. Or did we? No. Yeah, no, nothing. Yeah, Lawrence, that would be brilliant if that happened. T10 is a rubbish waste of time, waste of space, just money wash. The amount of fixing stories coming out of that series is crazy. Bring Marco in the show. I will have a conversation with him and ask him. I just wanted to give the World Cup, want to give the World Cup guys some time to, settle. I know it's partly to make, James, I know it is partly to make space for SA20, but how can we seemingly only afford to host 2-match test series even against India, but can host a 3-match A series? Yeah, you see the A series, the amount of money that goes into an A series compared to a test series is just chalk and cheese. That's why. So the hotels, money spent, food, travel, for both sides, you need to look after. It's chalk and cheese, the amount of money spent for test match compared to a 4-day game. 2015 T10, got to say he's leveled up his power game against spin big time, man. Bully spinners now, hoping big things from him for us in the T20 eyes. Me too. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I went a little bit earlier on. You know why? Man United's playing tonight in the Champions League. So yeah, I'm going to get prepared for that match. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Subscribe, please, to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. And also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Go get all your issues, including all back issues, completely 100% free, no catch. So go ahead and get it today. It will educate you a lot on different factors within cricket in South Africa, and give you insights that you won't get anywhere else. So please go ahead and get your issues straight away. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Hope to see you guys again tomorrow for another daily show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.